Hello, yeah, you're welcome to another episode of my web series. And today I'm going to be speaking about, the power of decision making. And I'm going to be using the Japa syndrome as an example, right? Decision making is something we do, albeit subconsciously, and that's because the natural instinct of man is to react, and reaction is a decision. Yeah, is an innate decision that we make. So but what I'm going to discuss today is how to apply wisdom to how we decide, right? And see how we can better refine it, right? Now, for a decision to be made, right? For a good decision, or rather for any decision at all to be made, you require knowledge and application. And when you say knowledge and application, that's in its sense, that's wisdom, right? You require like a good measure of wisdom to make decisions, right? Because the natural instinct of man is to react, and reaction is something we're born with, to either take flight or to face the challenge head on, right? But as we grow, we discover that responses are a better measure of wisdom than reaction. To respond is to process the knowledge that we've acquired and have a predefined or an intentional outcome decision on the matter, right? So decision making is so important because it affects every aspect of our lives. It can either mar or make us, right? And it cuts across all spheres, from the kind of schools you attend, to the environment you live in, to the church that you worship at, to the associations that you entertain, to even the clubs you go to, and quite funny, even the spouse that you get married to. Decision matters a lot. In fact, decision is so important that even our habits, right? We need to decide what kind of habits to keep, and the ones to do away with. So decision is so important and cannot be understated, right? Now, I see a lot of people these days. There's the trend, this Japa trend of people just deciding to travel, and for a few, I feel their decision to travel is well founded, because I believe they would have done their own research, and they've looked at it critically, but for many, unfortunately, they jump on this bandwagon, on this trend, just because they see, people, friends, relatives do it, without really exploring or researching enough, right? Take, for example, you have someone who has a particular talent or skill, and he figures that in Nigeria here, not so much is known of the talent, not so much can be done to appreciate the talent, and he decides, look, Mexico is where I'll be better appreciated. By all means, travel, you know, travel, because I mean, you've done your research, you've looked at the cost benefit, you've looked at the risk involved, and by all means, you can take that decision. But someone else who comes and decides that, look, I mean, someone else who maybe is an architect or an engineer that is doing well here and decides that, look, Canada is the place to be simply because he sees a neighbor or a brother who is a doctor, a medical doctor, traveling to the UK or Canada, and be like, okay, that guy has traveled and is doing well. I can also do well. It doesn't work that way because there's a reason why. I mean, if you are doing well here, I mean, well, travel, and you know why. And when you look at the cost benefit, you look at your age, look at your dependencies. You have to, you have to ask yourself the right questions, right? Yeah, you have to ask yourself the right questions if traveling is what you should be doing, right? And don't forget that the grass is never really greener. The same way people complain about the country here, it's the same way people living in those countries we travel to complain about their countries, right? And that's because that's simply because Economy these days is global, and situations are are specific. They are not really general. As bad as the Ukraine war was, I can tell you there were people who had businesses that thrived in Ukraine. Uh, so you shouldn't look at your issue judging from the yardstick set by other people. I think you should see yourself for what it is and ask yourself, what will be the best decision I can take, you know, facing this my predicament. You look at number one, you look at your age. Number two, you look at the skill you have. Then you look at how well you are proficient in that particular skill. Then you look at how your decision will affect those around you, because the people around you affects the quality of your life, your relatives, your family, the quality of your life. Then you also look at right the long-term viability of your choices. So these are the things you consider. It's not just enough to wake up and you say you are tired of this country, yeah, it will be better there. That's sheer gamble, and you wouldn't want to do that, because the most greatest expense is time. And so you ask yourself the question: if a country where you've lived all your life, you find it very hard to succeed, is it a country where you are regarded as a guest that you do well? And so these are the things you'd have to table. There's really no free lunch, not even in Freetown, right? If people must appreciate the value you bring, then you must come with value. So when you go there and you hope for the best, when in essence you are not taking value there, then that's where the challenge is. You must be armed with value so that you can demand what's just. So that's just my 2 cents when it has to do with decision making and migration, right? The decisions I've made has changed my life for good, right? And I'm not saying I have all the wisdom in the world, but you see, I kind of like observe a lot and I watch people who have succeeded ahead of me, and I learn from the decisions they make, the good ones, the bad ones. I learn, and I tell myself, what can I do better? I've seen people travel, right? And I've seen people remain here. I've seen people marry wrongly. I've seen people marry well. So it all matters, you know. Thank you. So to the next episode. The next episode, I'm here to figure out what the topic would be, but I'll look at one that is of good interest and I'll see how I can present that to you. Thank you.